Time is winding down to make the cut in the NFL postseason, and yet there's still so much to decide going into the final week of the NFL season. This is Game Day Recap. I'm Haley Sutton, and what a recap we have on deck. The race for the 1 seed still wide open on either side, but the Patriots take one big step forward with a win over the Jets. They also clinched the division. The Steelers, meanwhile, a chance to wrap up the North. They avoided Myles Garrett, but they took an L in the process. So that means the Ravens live on. It sets up a pivotal Week 18 showdown. We'll see a very similar situation in the NFC South after both the Bucs and the Panthers fail to win. But of course, we've got to start with the game out at Orchard Park. Bills, Eagles, let's get you to the crew because we've got certainly a lot to discuss. A little different this week as we go into Week 17. We've got our Pete Prisco tidying up his notes over there.
Yeah, I'm just thinking back to when we used to be 14 games. We would have been already deep into the playoffs by now.
We are. We still got to get to the regular season. We got Carthon in his turtleneck today. Looking dapper.
Wilma, I see you, Wilma.
I know.
Flintstone vibe. I see you.
It is giving Flintstone.
Yabba dabba doo.
Yabba dabba doo. I'm going to try to work that in. And then, of course, we've got Danny Kanell joining in place for
there you go.
Damien. I was getting there. I was going to say we have a little.
No, we got to give it to
comparison.
Danny. We got to give it to Danny.
I can't even get a smile in my photo, though.
Yeah, this is like a screen grab.
You're angry. You're an angry guy.
I guess so. I don't know. I only wear the turtleneck if it's under 50 degrees, though. There's a weather cutoff, so I couldn't do it today. It wasn't cold enough in South Florida. Next time, Rand, we got to team it up.
Listen, TV doesn't have temperature.
That is true.
It's cold in here sometimes.
All right. Well, there certainly was a temperature, if you will, in the game between the Eagles and the Bills. There was a lot on the line. So let's stop wasting time. Let's get you to those highlights because this one was wild down the stretch. Bills were blanked at halftime, so we're going to take you to the fourth quarter. Down 13-6. Josh Allen has not had the best luck with his pass catchers this season, but Brandon Cooks, one of the newest faces, coming up clutch. Taking a look at the catch.
Shades of David Tyree with the Giants and the
Helmet
Super Bowl.
catch.
Yeah,
Big catch.
Impressive.
8 seconds to go. They'd already scored once. It was taken off the board. Tush push prevails. So the Bills down 13-12 thanks to Josh Allen getting in there in the end zone. They go for 2 because remember the kicker missed the PAT earlier and Josh and Shakir just not on the same page. You take another look at it there. Josh just leads Khalil Shakir just a little too heavy. So this one ends in favor of the Eagles. You can see it there on Josh Allen's face. A lot of frustrations there. I guess I'll start with the 2-point conversion here, Pete. I mean, because there's a lot that we can go to. Josh Allen got a little banged up in this one too. He came in with a foot injury and then had an ankle along the way. The 2-point conversion, there was a lot of conversation about what you do in that moment. Your kicker, Matt Prater, misses earlier in the game. So in that moment, do you go for 2 as well?
No, I don't. I kick. I kick and go to overtime. But again, the specifics of what the game meant, yeah, if they won and New England lost next week to Miami, who's going to be thrilled to go play in New England next week in the cold, by the way, would they have a chance to win the division? Sure. But if that's the case, then why wouldn't you just kick and go to overtime? You had been really good on defense, surprisingly good on defense. The Eagles didn't even, I think they had 200 yards of total offense. You had the momentum. I think in that scenario, you kick and go to overtime and take your chances.
I think almost always, if you're the road team and you're playing on the road, you want to try to steal a game, make it on one play. But if you're playing at home like the Bills were, your defense just had 4 stops in a row, 4 series where they forced punts. I thought the opportunity was to kick it and go to overtime as well. You had outplayed them. You're playing at home field with that advantage. I do wonder if there was some aspect to Sean McDermott thinking about the big picture. Do you want to play extra football this late in the season and have your guys subject to more hits, or just take it down to one play, see if you can get it that way at home? I was a little bit surprised because normally the mindset, home team, you kick it, go to overtime. If you're the road team, you sort of go for that. So I was a little bit surprised by the decision.
No, Danny, I think you made an excellent point in talking about the amount of hits that Josh Allen had took. We saw several times he got up slow where he was banged up, whether it was an ankle and just different parts of his body. I'm all on board with going for 2, going for the win, especially against a really good opponent in the Philadelphia Eagles, and you're at home. And you're a second half team. You had that defense on the ropes who came out hot, but then now you caught your stride in the second half and you were able to double them up in points. So I was all for going for 2, especially the way you drove the ball down and got in the end zone.
So why put it on one play then? I just don't think you put it on one play when you're the team that had the momentum to go and you've stopped them the whole second half. It just didn't make any sense to me. And again, now they're in the 7 spot, by the way. We look at them, they're in the 7 spot. So all of a sudden you go from a chance to be up there at the top to now you're number 7, and you're going to go on the road the entire playoffs.
Well, I mean, if you look at it conceptually, it was the right play.
Yes.
It was a great route. Josh Allen just didn't make the throw. Everything was there for them to win the football game. And if he had half a second to set his feet, or even if the ball was a little bit behind him, then Khalil Shakir makes that play. They win the game, and we're talking about how great of a moment it was for the Buffalo Bills.
I will say, from players like inside that locker room, I guarantee they love the call. Players love when their coaches.
They don't want to play any more football.
Well, no, I'm saying like when you go for it on fourth downs, players like it when you say we're going to bet on you guys. And to Rand's point, it was a perfect call. It was a perfect play. You just failed to make the throw. And I guarantee you that is a throw that Josh Allen's going to lose sleep over. He's going to see that tonight when he's trying to fall asleep. And I can't believe I didn't make that throw. That was about as easy as a layup. I know he's on the run, but we're talking about an MVP in the league. He makes that throw 9 out of 10 times. For him to miss that was a shocker there.
By the way, the Lions are clapping for Dan Campbell going for touchdowns all the time as they watch the playoffs.
I do want to take this to another level because I mentioned Josh Allen got hurt and then he limped off the field. He went to get x-rays. We're still waiting to hear the results of those x-rays. We're also still waiting on Sean McDermott to get back up to the podium. How much do you think, Rand, I'll come to you here, how much do you think maybe Sean McDermott saw how beat up his quarterback was, maybe saw that he wasn't playing to what we know Josh Allen to be, and you kind of leave it with that?
I think that was very much a part of the decision making. And again, you saw how many hits that Josh Allen took. He was under duress a lot during the game. We talked about how the offensive line has been struggling. You saw Spencer Brown go down at one point in the game. He re-entered the game. And they were just able to get pressure with their front. Their edge guys were able to get after him. The guys up the middle were able to get after him. And so you want to limit the amount of hits that your quarterback is going to take, especially as you're approaching a tournament. So you want to mitigate that as much as possible. And going forward in that situation, hey, we're either going to win or lose the game at this point, and then we're going to get out of here, live to see another day, and get ready for the tournament.
And it was very clear. They had a lot of time to discuss it because the review of the touchdown was taking forever. That came up short. And then they had and you knew as soon as Josh Allen came up, he was signaling we're going for 2. They had already made that decision. And I think those types of conversations absolutely were unfolding about the amount of hits that Josh Allen and the entire team are taking, because everybody could be out there for another 15 minutes. You do not want that type of wear and tear this late in the season.
Yeah, especially to your point, going into the postseason, got to get healthy. They do have the Jets next week, so benefit there. I'm curious, Mitch Trubisky is the backup. We'll see kind of what decisions the Bills make going forward there. On the other side of this one, it's almost like a tale of two halves for the Philadelphia Eagles, because they jump out early in the first half and everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is the Philadelphia team that we've expected to see all 2025. And then they don't complete a single pass in the second half. That's the second time that's happened this season. They somehow find a way to win here. Pete, how has your perspective of this Eagles team changed, I guess, as the year goes on? How do you feel about them right now going into Week 18?
Well, remember, at one point we were worried about their defense a little bit. Now the defense is dominant, and now we're starting to really worry about the offense. And look, they got to be able to run the ball consistently with Saquon Barkley, or they're not the same offense. If we can go back to a year ago, they were dominant running the football. Now the offensive line was dominant in front of him. He was great, and they were great on offense. Well, now he hasn't been as good, the line hasn't been as good, and their passing game hasn't been as good. And all those people out there, and there's tons of them that continually talk up Jalen Hurts being, this guy can carry a team, he can do it. Well, he might have to do it in the postseason. This might be the postseason for him. And I know he's been good at times in the postseason in the past, but that's when you had the run game going. If the run game isn't going to what it was like last year, can he put the team on his right arm and carry him to a Super Bowl? That is a question we do not know that can be answered right now.
I just see an offense that just does not have any rhythm. They never feel like they're in rhythm, like they're in stride. Like Pete talked about, this is a run-centric offense. No matter how much the receivers complain about wanting to get the football, everything is predicated off of them being able to run the football. Now, something that stood out to me a couple weeks ago when we were up and we were watching the games, I noticed that Saquon Barkley had been wearing a little bit of a collar on the back of his pads. And I kind of made the point, I'm like, I wonder what that is. And then a week or so later, or maybe a couple days later, we learned that he was missing some practice time because of a stinger or whatnot. So how healthy is Saquon Barkley? Because if he had been wearing that little neck collar, neck roll, whatever it is, for a couple weeks to that point, and then all of a sudden we hear about the stingers, how healthy is Saquon Barkley? How much is he how much is he ready to carry the load? We don't know that. And so I think there's a reason why they haven't featured him just in a way that we're just not aware of.
I'm with Pete on Jalen Hurts, and we've even talked about this over the past couple of years. After a Super Bowl win, everybody wanted to put him in the top 5 of the NFL quarterbacks. The guy wins games. Like, that's all you want, but I do not put him in the top 5 category, maybe even top 4, where there's only a certain amount of quarterbacks that can put a team on their back without a run game, without, a lot of help around you and elevate everybody around. I do think things have to be really good around Jalen Hurts for him to excel, and clearly he's done it at the highest level. Some of his Super Bowl performances have been spectacular, but in order to be considered one of those top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, you've got to produce in situations like this, on the road, tough weather, nasty conditions. Your run game is gone, and we really haven't seen him do that.
They went in at halftime, Haley, 11 for 51 for Barkley. In the second half, he had 8 carries. Yeah. With a lead, on the road, in the rain, in those conditions, he has to get the ball more than he got the football, and they have to run the ball more than they ran the ball in the second half. If you want to look at the problem in this game, it's the offensive play calling in the second half because they needed to get the ball to the running back more.
Saquon Barkley, 19 carries for 68 yards. Jalen Hurts, 13 of 27, 110, and a touchdown. That is not the recipe to win football games, but still plenty of time to get it sorted out. Got to hit a break here on Game Day Recap. Plenty to talk about. It was an exciting weekend of football. Maybe no one more excited than the Ravens after this result today. We'll take you back through how Aaron Rodgers avoided Myles Garrett but still picked up a loss along the way.